Okay. Thank you everybody for joining for the Wednesday, February 25th meeting of the Yolo County Fire Safe Council. We have a special agenda to approve. It is just limited to deal with the funds for the grazing project.
I'll move to approve that agenda.
And Kate Lennox will second that. Unless somebody else was on there.
I'll yield to Kate.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Thanks, Don.
We got a motion and a second. Any other discussion about this abbreviated agenda? Okay, hearing none. I'll call the question. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Okay, thank you. That is carried. So we're now on to any brief. Member item 4 on the list. We're skipping over approving the minutes, and then any member announcements.
Well, since we're not having our regular reports and everything, I want to remind folks that the Solano County RCD is having a spring plant sale at Berryessa Brewery on Saturday, the 25th of April. I believe they start in the morning and go till early afternoon. There's an excellent deal on some drought tolerant and less flammable plants.
I'm going to that PBA pile burning workshop that Bailey's got going on up in Rumsey on Saturday. Looking forward to that. I think she said there were like 20 signups or something. So we're going to be burning piles and then kind of going over, especially here in the Cape Valley, there are a number of different agencies who sort of have jurisdiction, air quality, CAL FIRE, local government. Yeah, so we're going to be trying to give people some good information about whose toes they're stepping on, depending on what they're doing.
Right, and I believe, Allie, there's still a few spots available for folks want to sign up.
Yep, we still have like 3 or 4 spots open. So I dropped the link in the chat if anyone's interested. Just sign up and I'll send you the details.
Should be a beautiful day.
Tanya, would this be a good place to talk about the Water Conservation Board meeting tomorrow and the Yolo RCD, Solano RCD application?
Oh, sure. It's sort of fire related and it's definitely interesting. Yeah, do you want to announce or do you want me to?
You could probably speak more to the details than I could, but yeah, happy to add any piece to it.
Well, I'll just let folks know. So, as some of you remember, we've been working on controlling giant reed or arundo donax in the waterways, which is super flammable all times of year, but especially when it's dormant. And tomorrow at the Wildlife Conservation Board meeting, they will be likely approving our request for round 2 or phase 2 of funding, which we'll be working in Poudre Creek only because Cache Creek is going to be like a $100 million job. So we are asking for much less than that to control arundo and do restoration work in Poudre Creek below 505 down further downstream.
And part of it will include an additional second phase of a walking path for our low-income community at El Rio Villa, just on the county side of Winters, to provide them better access to Poudre Creek down there and enjoy that habitat, which is great because we had salmon spawning there, I think, definitely last year, maybe the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's a multi-benefit use project. So we're pretty excited. And because it's on the consent agenda. We're fairly confident that it'll be approved. And it was a lot of work to put that together, a lot of back and forth. So
Huge kudos to Tanya and the Solano RCD team.
The team, yeah. Thank you. And then the other thing I wanted to share was that we have, well, last December, I think I mentioned that the county coordinators, which is funded by the California Fire Safe Council, got together with our all the battalion chiefs in the Sonoma Lake Napa unit. And so I got to connect with some colleagues to the north. So we have some folks from Lake County here today. And I've also invited the Colusa County Fire Safe Council, who they're not here today, but I've been attending their meetings, their Young Fire Safe Council. So John and Stefana, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'll just quickly say, hey folks, thanks for having us today. John Vandervoort, Program Manager with the RCD, and work really closely with my colleague Estefania, who's here to administer the Lake County Fire Safe Council. And really, we're just here to be some flies on the wall and learn about all the great work that you're all doing and hear from all of you and see how your meetings run. So thanks again for having us.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Estefania. I'm the County Coordinator for the Lake County Fire Safe Council, and happy to be here.
Glad to have you guys here. It's fun to see what's going on with our neighbors. And Sherry here is from the Napa County Firewise, which is awesome. So,
hi guys, I'll have to invite you to our meeting, which actually starts at 5 o'clock today.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Join that Zoom, Zoom to Zoom.
So, yeah, that's great. Is there any other announcements?
This is Tracy. Can I add one?
Sure.
If folks haven't heard, there are two bills that are now before the legislature. Of course, I can't even read this. The the Beneficial Fire Capacity Act, which I can't read the number right now, maybe AB 1891, and then the Good Fire Act. The Good Fire Act is basically putting into law a lot of what was in the executive order. Was that April? I can't remember timing, sorry. And the Beneficial Fire Capacity Act is to actually have a grant funded program for supporting PBAs, Good Fire, a lot of work on the ground as well as capacity. I think Tanya, what I'll just do is I'll forward this email to you because I'm on my phone right now, but they're looking for organizational sign-on by March 2nd at noon. So I will send.
Dang. Okay. That's Monday.
Yeah, I'll send it to you right now.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exciting. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. Any more announcements?
Yes, I have one more. We do have a brand new Fire Safe Council that extends from the north end of Napa County down along the east side of Lake Berryessa. So just over the county line from you all, and we're calling it the Knoxville Blue Ridge Fire Safe Council. We've got a bunch of engaged locals, just brand new fledgling Fire Safe Council. So we'll put you in
Let's
touch with
hear it
them
for young local Fire Safe Councils.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yay.
Okay. I guess we're now on to item 5, Tanya.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give a little more background on the hows or the whys, and then Christian is here from Perennial Grazing who can give a little more on the ground info. And Tracy put some things in the chat with her phone, which is awesome. Thank you, Tracy. So to set the scene, recall that we had been talking about doing some grazing in the Winters area with funding from our CAL FIRE implementation grant. So, we wrote this grant a year or two ago. We had put in $50,000 to do 62 acres. Some of that money we are going to be doing in an area to the west of Positas Road community. So it's a super steep area. You know, we had talked about it before. Perennial Grazing is going to be doing it and giving us a discount because they're doing a big job for Solano RCD across the creek. So that that came in at $18,700, which leaves us $31,300 to do another grazing project. And I just got a proposal to do some grazing around Rumsey that Christian from Perennial Grazing had put together a while back. And that total would be, it would be 100 acres, and I can show you the map, for a total at $400 an acre. So that'd be $41,160. So that's a shortfall of $9,860. So we're asking the Fire Safe Council to take some of our money out of our contracting budget, which currently has $235,000 left in it, to put towards this project. So before I kick it over to Christian, I want to tell you a little bit more about the nuts and bolts. Because of this, the CAL FIRE grant, we have to do a grazing plan. So we're in the process of doing one for the Gray Pine Ridge, which is next to the Positas Road. So we're doing a grazing plan, and that will have to be certified by a certified rangeland manager that we have on contract, who did the grazing project for Solano project, which also had multiple landowners. So that'll happen. So it'll be a certified plan that will then be implemented by Perennial Grazing. It's a great location around Rumsey, which is the high fire area. And last month we had a meeting with the West Side fire chiefs in Yolo County, and folks had agreed that we want to continue to focus on Rumsey because it's up there at the top of the Capay Valley, super high fire area, lots of vegetation to burn. The other cool thing about this project is that a lot of the legwork has already happened. And this year there's going to be a lot of fuels with all the rain we just had, and then warm weather around the corner. So it's a great opportunity to get vegetation controlled, get grazing on the ground, so neighbors can see it and get excited about it, and hopefully continue to fund their own work in the future. So I'm going to kick it over to Christian, and I'm also going to show you a map of the area that he was proposing and had spoken with the neighbors already. So again, it's this familiar Rumsey area that needs fuels reduced. Sorry, Jonathan, what were you saying?
And we might have lost, I think we lost Christian a few moments ago. So hopefully he's trying to get back on.
Yeah, he's here.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha. I was just letting the suspense build a little bit. Sorry about that.
Drum roll, please.
Yeah,
okay, Christian, take it away to add, maybe tell a little bit more about the background and your work with neighbors.
Sure. Yeah. So I have my name is Christian Kane. I run this ecological services business using sheep and goats to, right now we've got 2,000 sheep across a bunch of organic wineries in Sonoma County, and I've grazed some vineyards in Yolo County as well. And then when they get done with that, they're going to be doing some ecological targeted grazing for the city of Davis. That'll be our fourth year working with them. And we've done a number of projects on public land. And then after that, we'll be doing kind of a big neighborhood fire safety grazing project in Solano County, just south of Buda Creek. And so the idea with this project is to kind of utilize a lot of similar models to other work we've done and address the very, over the past decade, very fire-stricken community in Rumsey. So basically, I can kind of talk through the map. I'll kind of explain it from there. Basically, what you're seeing is a collection that crosses a couple different property lines. So it's a collection of about 12 or 13 neighbors there that have all kind of expressed that they're on board with the project. It's a bit of a dance in that, they're on board in kind of a preliminary way, and then we're talking today about, securing funding, and then we can kind of, confirm with all of them. Basically, with all of them being on board, I can offer everybody a lower rate. And what we're talking about doing is I will be using electric fencing, temporary electric fencing, solar powered to use to do a focused kind of mob grazing of 700 sheep and goats, roughly like 70% sheep, 30% goat, to do fire safety grazing. So targeting especially around structures about 700 pounds RDM once we're kind of leaving the site. So really thorough grazing, especially around structures around each of those neighbors. And there would be a shepherd, like an employee of mine, a person who would be stationed at the Essert Ranch. You can see the S in the kind of the bottom right section, the kind of southeast section there. And so that area will kind of be working the fences, working the flock as we move through these different neighboring properties. And there'll be a guardian dog in with the flock. And on a personal note, I've been living in Capay Valley in Rumsey since 2016. And so I'm very familiar with everybody on the list, and so I'm really enthusiastic to be offering this service to the community. And especially myself, having lived through a bunch of those fires and evacuation orders, I think this is like a really great strategic project, and that we can kind of again kind of aggregate all these neighbors to kind of make it strategic for everybody. And so the kind of the logic of the map there is kind of it's kind of a little bit of balancing being most effective in terms of clearing out fuel around structures, while also working in areas that are kind of realistic for such a large flock of 700 animals, and setting up fences, and with respect also to different kind of tree crops that people have going on, and also a very kind of pragmatic plan in terms of being able to walk the sheep from site to site and to kind of execute the whole thing. And again, keep it at a reasonable budget for all the neighbors. But yeah, that's kind of the outline of it. And the way I'm kind of thinking of it is that, this being, I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions and discussion, but my suggestion for today, I think, would be in terms of voting on this, like Tanya said, right now it's a budget at 102 acres at $400 an acre. And so I think that would be good to, in terms of approving the plan, to say, okay, we want to approve, I'm assuming that you all do, saying that we want to approve up to 102 acres at this $400 an acre rate. And then, once we know that we have the budget, we can go back and confirm with every landowner and kind of get a final map, so that if one landowner or the other kind of, changes since we got those initial kind of soft commitments, then we wouldn't need to come back to the committee for a revote or anything. And then we can get a final map, and then, as Tanya is saying, kind of have that final map and the whole plan confirmed and kind of certified with a certified rangeland planner.
Right, we're sort of a chicken versus egg thing, and so we've got the outline of a plan, and when we have a total dollar amount, then we can jump in and do it. And the cool thing about this is, so the CAL FIRE funding, it's a grant deliverable to do a certain number of acres. We'll be over our deliverable, and most of this will be covered by that grant. We just need a little bit more so we can get more stuff done on the ground, which is what I like to do. So I think that's our proposal. Does anyone have any questions? Don?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like the way he's phrased it, and I like the project a lot. This is a kind of a one-off in a way, and I wonder if there's any way to think about ways that we can establish a habit around this.
I'm glad you brought that up because, yeah, we don't have endless money to cover this work. And I think, because this is pretty close to the community and it'll get people seeing the benefits of grazing. And, I have talked a lot about trying to get a grazing cooperative going. That may or may not happen this spring. But once folks see the benefit of it and know that, well, we did it for this year, this was a good year to do it, there'll be a lot of vegetation. If you want to do it next year, then we can support you in getting a cooperative done, as opposed to just saying you should do a cooperative because it'll happen, you'll get your grazing done every year. That's a good example. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that is something that I think about all the time because it is a one-off because vegetation grows back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I'd say that, yeah, I think, this is kind of, not to be self-congratulatory, but, it's kind of novel to be looping together this many landowners on a project together and kind of pointing people's attention across fence lines, across property lines and saying, hey, we can, just creating these collaborative solutions. So I feel like it'd be a great step forward in terms of having neighbors talk to each other and giving an example of how teaming up on these things can kind of create a pathway for effective stuff like this.
Right. And this is sort of the Cadillac version to have Christian and his, crew do the work, but it'll be a great example for the community and the neighboring community of Gwenda as well to see it in action. Because one thing to talk about something, it's another to see it in action. Ken, you had a question.
Yeah, it's a straightforward question. So it's not much money out of the overall budget that you're transferring, but just curious, did you run out of budget last year?
Did we run? Well, we haven't done any grazing.
No, sorry. The money is being taken from your otherwise operating budget, right? So the $9,000 you're asking for, I'm curious about where that money would go otherwise.
Right.
Whether it's going to run out at the end of the budget year, like for instance, the chipper program, and things like that got curtailed because of lack of hours and.
Right. Good question. So this is our early action funding that the Yolo County Board of Supervisors has empowered the Fire Safe Council to manage, and they would like to see it spent by the end of this year. So we have this big pot of money. I'm so glad to see everybody here because this is going to be what we're going to be doing going forward is presenting projects to have you guys approve to make our county more fire safe.
So if I can rephrase that, you're dying to get rid of this money, looking for a good home for it, and this is a good home. Is that what I'm hearing?
We're getting a lot of bang for our buck. That is what you're hearing, yes,
right.
And what you just said, yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for phrasing it that way.
Is when I went through that paperwork, the description in the earlier emails was, this is the funding that isn't covered. Yeah, the Cal Fire grant covers the grazing. This is covering all the pre-work prior to the grazing. Well, or a lot of that.
The Cal Fire grant is supposed to pay a contract grazer to graze in a strategic area. But we're already spending some of that money in winters. So that's why this is basically just supplementing that so we can get more bang for that buck.
Right.
And do that deliverable and also have it be in a really strategic spot and set a great example and show the neighbors the potential.
Yeah. I think it.
Anya, what was that deliverable from Cal Fire for the 50K?
It was 62.5 acres. So Solano is doing 62.5 because they're partnering with us on this project and we're doing 62.5. So the Gray Pine Ridge, which is the Winters area one, is 17 acres. And that's super steep. There's basically no other way to manage that vegetation. And yeah, that's a lot of work. And because it's less acres, it's more expensive. The more acres you have, the more the price goes down. So yeah, is definitely more bang for our buck.
Yeah, how many acres did you say this potentially is if all the landowners sign on?
102.
So we got 50K to do 60 acres, and if we pitch in an extra 10K, then we can bump it up from 60 acres to 160 acres.
100 plus 17. So 100, we can double our deliverable.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I have another question, but it's a little oblique. It can wait if we want to go ahead and get to the vote.
Now I'm curious, what is it?
So it's really for Christian, just curious about your protocols for keeping invasive seeds out of the fur and poop of your sheep as they get moved from property to property.
I like that question.
Yeah, so it's something that we deal with from time to time. I think the main protocol for that would be, parking the animals at a nearby site. I mean, just with the way this year is going to go, I kind of know that they'll be coming from Winters up to Cape to do this work. So, it'll be good to kind of look at those sites and see about that. Any kind of like, noxious invasive forbs, weeds that would be like novel to the area that we'd be bringing in, which I don't think there are, but that definitely be something good to keep an eye on. And then the main method for that usually would just be, bringing them to the area, to an area that we're sure doesn't have any of those like novel invasives nearby, having them spend a few days there, and then bringing them to this project.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing some monitoring at the winter site, which Ken is actually quite familiar with. And there is yellow star thistle. So we'll be on the ground to, do a survey and protect. We'll also look for rare plants, which could be a thing as well. So part of our grazing plan, and, we have to do our CEQA compliance, which is going to be checking for any rare species that would be in the area that may have to be protected as well.
Yeah, that is, Don, I think that's an interesting one. As somebody, I don't think it's a problem, but branch broom rape, broom rape, the parasitic weed would be a definite one, and it definitely passed through guts as well as fur in South Australia when it was trying to get under control. So that's a really important concern.
Is that one mostly in irrigated crops?
Yeah, the county ag department has areas, tomato fields.
Right. Yeah.
With a lot of solanaceous weeds. But yes, that's not necessarily a problem where we're targeting this, but it is one that I think anybody who's in agriculture in the county should be aware of, because it's persistence and difficulty in removal if you're growing crops.
Yeah, that's a scary one.
Yeah, the way I understand it, the persistence in the fur can be quite long compared to the persistence in the gut. And it's not my field. I just read a little bit about it. Enough to be dangerous, really. Some people who are really concerned about it shear their sheep between assignments. Would you do that if there were a real identified problem going from one place to another?
Yeah, I'd certainly be open to that. I think that might modify the budget a little bit.
I was thinking it would be pretty expensive for you. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd be open to that for sure.
Yeah, I think just doing good pre-surveys before animals get moved onto a property
Are the sheep going to come straight from the Solano County side of the creek to the what you're calling Grapevine Ridge, what I'm now calling Hermit Gulch?
Oh, it changed the name on
Um,
us.
I did.
I think it's the other way around, isn't it?
Hermit Gulch, well, Grapevine Ridge is down in Solana. That's the one that it's really totally informal. It wasn't used much by the neighbors. But Hermit Gulch has got a historical precedent here in Winters.
Oh,
That was the name, sort of local on the street name for that valley, not the ridge.
oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah.
I think Center for Land-Based Learning named it Grapevine Ridge because there's a bunch of grape pines on the
They
ridge.
own it.
So,
They get the
yeah,
right.
that's what we're calling it.
Fair enough. Anyway, back to the question. Are the sheep coming straight, sheep and goats coming straight from the Solano County side of the creek over here?
sorry, where's here?
Oh, sorry, I'm on the West Winters, so I'm a neighbor of the Grapevine Ridge spot.
So is the question, are the sheep coming from Quail Canyon Road to
Yes,
Grapevine Ridge?
exactly. Correct.
Mm, yeah, I think that would be the plan, yeah.
So then is there going to be coordination between the surveys in Solano County along there and you guys, Tanya, to make sure nothing gets moved over?
I would say so that, yes, Solano is also very conservation focused. And Karen is
They'll
not
probably
here to
know.
ask her, but pardon?
Yeah, they will probably know if there's something down there, and you just
Yeah.
touch base with them and see if anything needs to be done would seem important.
There have been some surveys by the certified rangeland manager that I'll be meeting with Karen next week and I will bring that up.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate that because spreading weeds is not good.
So many weeds.
I'm
So
making a
little
note.
time.
I'm writing it down, so it's going to happen.
And I think Tanya is definitely the right person who's leading our what is the Yolo County weed management area.
I'm a little obsessed with invasive weeds. Yes.
Yeah. So I think we can trust RCD to pay attention to that issue. Any other questions, or are we getting to the point where somebody's ready to make a motion?
Well, if I hear no voices, I will move to approve the transfer of money to enable this exciting project.
And I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? I'll hold for a moment.
Do we want to do the phrasing the way it was suggested for up to 100 acres? Or 102 acres, I guess.
I guess in the agenda it says approve 9,880 or $860 in early action funds to cover the remaining amount of the 41,160.
And I think basically, technically, Ken, you can then just say so moved.
So moved.
Tanya just said, all right, and I'm seconding that so moved. Yes.
Okay, we have clarified the question and motion. The person who moved and seconded have agreed. Any other additional discussion? All right, I waited a beat. I'll call the question. All those in favor to approve the request to move the 9,860 up to in early action funds to cover the remaining amount for up to 102 acres, please say aye.
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 Aye. All right, thank you. Any opposed? Nay.
I'm recusing myself because I'm one of the homeowners or the landowners involved in the project.
Yep, so one abstention. And Looking for any nays? Hearing none, that has carried.
Wonderful.
And
Well,
as I
I'm
said-
really, oh, go ahead, Jonathan.
No,
Sorry.
go, Tanya.
I'm just going to say it's really great to have everybody back and engaged. And going forward, we're going to be doing this a lot as we spend down that contractor funding to make, do as much vegetation work as we can.
Thank you. All right. I definitely appreciate pulling this meeting together. This is the kind of thing where we need to come to act timely. And so we are going to be back to the regular reports and a formal meeting on March 25th.
Yes. And I do have one thing just to toss in, that our Delta Conservation Camp crews, there'll be 2 of them working along Highway 128 on our shaded field break on Friday, which is always fun. 2 crews, we'll be moving along, doing a lot of fuels work.
Very good. Well, at this point, I guess we're looking for a motion and a second to close the meeting. There's nothing else to discuss. I think we're
Right.
clear.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second that motion to adjourn.
That was Ken, then Kate.
Yeah.
Again. All right. All in favor of ending the meeting, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Hearing none, the meeting is over. Thank you, and see you on March 25th.